of the Martin Luther King breakfast, that the Labor Council uses Martin Luther King in vain, and we are here to say enough is enough. All you politicians that come in here and eat the eggs and chew on your bacon and drink your coffee and then clap your hands about how wonderful Martin Luther King is, and they do absolutely nothing for black people here in San Francisco. It's the disparate treatment of black African Americans, and it needs to stop. And we are standing here to say that if no one wants to be bold enough, if no one wants to be right enough, then we stand here bold, we stand here right, and we're ready for change. So as now we see people coming to the breakfast, we see people looking at us, but the thing of it is, as you continue to go in that breakfast, when are you going to stand, brother? When are you going to stand and make sure that the people who give this breakfast start working with black people and start addressing?
Stand now.
Well, come on with us. Here, we got lots of room. Come stand with us. Because the thing of it is, this breakfast is a joke. This breakfast is absolutely a joke. You can't continue to have unions pay $1,500 a table, and you got probably 100 tables in there, and all the politicians, who's who of San Francisco, shows up, and they leave. But they show up on the back and the suffering of Martin Luther King. You can't say that you're here in support of Martin Luther King when 3 reports in 55 years that black people, we are worse off now than we were 55 years ago. Everyone should get the report of the unfinished agenda. The unfinished agenda, which follows black people and the disparities from 1964 to 1990. And then a nonprofit agency looked at the report and all the disparities, the out-migration, the high unemployment rate, the high mass incarceration, the lack of social economic businesses in San Francisco that are owned by black people. They looked at all of these disparities and they came up with 25 recommendations. And you know what, San Franciscans? They did absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. The only thing they did was, and I believe it was 2006, 2009, then they came out with the out-migration. And what? They did the same thing. And so here these reports are sitting on the shelf, gathering dust, while black people in San Francisco are suffering. And you are going to go in there and be able to sit down and have your breakfast and clap for Martin Luther King Day, and you absolutely are doing nothing of the injustices of black San Franciscans here in San Francisco. I say shame, shame, shame on you. Shame on all the unions who continuously buy tables for this breakfast. And none of the unions have any type of training programs for blacks. No type of training programs for young African American males. Young African American males are 1 in 3 to go to prison. 1 in 3. Every 1 in 3 males will end up in prison if you're black. And so San Francisco is supposed to be one of the worst cities that jail African Americans. They jail more African Americans than Los Angeles in the state of California. So when you look at mass incarceration, we are less than 5%, but we represent over 50% of all inequities here in San Francisco. So again, we are here publicly protesting this breakfast. We stand here protesting this breakfast. We love Martin Luther King, and that's why we're here. Because they are using Martin Luther King's name in vain. Stop using his name in vain. In fact, we're not asking, we're not begging, we're demanding that you stop using Martin politicians, to all presidents of the unions, that you need to stop. We are demanding that this needs to stop. You can't continue just to ignore black people.
Labor Council with the SEIU opposing the $2.7 million for the city college.
I'm not aware. I'll probably have to follow up on that.
Teresa and John Mendes were saying that the Labor Council should not oppose the...
Yeah, I apologize. I'd have to really follow up on that. I don't have that.
Are you aware that 300 classes that were cut at City College?
No.
You don't know about the 300 classes that were cut at San Francisco City College?
You talking about for this last semester? Or this upcoming semester?
Yeah. Classes. They're asking, the union is asking for $2.7 million emergency funding so they can restore the classes. And the labor, the SEIU and IFPTE were saying that because there's a budget shortfall and they cut the city budget 3%, that they're concerned that they may not have enough money for city workers.
Yeah, I'd have to follow up on it. I'm running late for this, and I'm just totally under the weather right now. I think it's always a good thing, hey, how are you? That continue to make sure that there's awareness with issues in regards to race and equity in San Francisco. So I appreciate the work that folks continue to do.
Brenda Barrows.
So what's going on here today, and why are you out in front of the Labor Council breakfast here on Martin Luther King Day?
Well, we're out here because year after year this breakfast happens and we see no results. We don't see any action that comes from it. While people praise Martin Luther King, they're not living up to what he wanted. They talk it, but they don't. Actions don't match what they say.
Well, the Labor Council's honoring a mayor, African American mayor, Brennan Breed, and Joseph Bryant, the president of your union. I mean, you feel that they're not doing their job?
Well, what I'm saying is that, as with many parts of the African American community, just having somebody with a black face in charge doesn't mean that they're going to do the right thing, right? Because they're being oppressed and pushed back and worried about keeping their positions, and so a lot of them are afraid to do what they really would like to do, but we just have to force them to do it.
African American city workers under the gun?
African American city workers are most certainly under the gun. They're suffering.
Well, there were some hearings last year to deal with the inequities. Is the racism, discrimination, retaliation continuing?
There are minimal things that are happening in certain spots, but overall, if I have to say, overall in the city, are these issues really being addressed in a serious way? Right now, the answer is no.
And at the recent Labor Council meeting, the SEIU opposed, and IFPTE, $2.7 million as a bridge loan for City College, 300 cut classes. What do you think about that?
Well, I don't think it was right. I mean, once again, the powers that be, not looking out for the other people, not worried about those things, because a lot of them, their kids don't have to go to City College. You know what I mean? They can send their kids to Stanford and UC Berkeley and colleges back east and all that. So what do they care, right? It's our people that need those basic courses, and they feel like they're not important, but they are.
So you're in for passing it so that they can have the 300 classes at community college restored?
Absolutely, I am personally, yes.
Neighborhood while they keep us out there on the street. It's a sad, sad, sad story. And I can go on and on about the issues we face and the issues of blacks out there, because everybody knows the majority of homeless people are African American. And if you think it's not true, it is. As far as the food and us being a soup kitchen, we're far from that. Our clients eat the best food that we can purchase for them. And I have fought to give funding. We eat everything. The last thing I think we eat is soup. But we got greens, beans, pork chops. That's the kind, things that stick to their ribs. I can't give them a bed, but I can make sure they're full. I can't get them not to sleep in the cars because there's no place to go for them to sleep. And what really irks me is that they will send everybody else out there for us to take care of. We have hope houses and we have a veterans hope house. The only people they have referred to us is white right angles who have been on the street for 15, 20 years. Have 15, 20 days, I'm sorry.
Right.
Our people can't get through the system that they have built up, and that's the best I could say. We don't have a case manager out there, even though I have been asking and asking for years, just like I have for the beds. I want you to come visit us. We're at 2111 Jennings Street. I really want you to come see our space that we have and what we're doing. Our landlord is great. He's not trying to put us out or anything like you get. He loves us down there. But we need your support all the time, no matter what it is. If you come in and volunteer, they're the best people in the world to work with. If something happens out there, it's one of them homeless that's going to have your back. You know, and it's that simple. They do not play. And they're decent human beings who have been priced out, evicted out, whatever way, and they're still moving to try and get the few that we have left here out. I'm a native San Francisco, and all I can say is it stinks.
All right.
All right.
My name is Aaron Brazell, and I'm the Executive Director of the Northern California Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Really searched hard and long to determine what it was we wanted to share in this 2020 season with our community. And you will notice on your program the theme for this year. Let's give our friends a hand from the SEIU. Let's continue to give our friends a hand from the SEIU.
Chains of injustice for Black San Franciscans.
Break the chains of injustice.
Let's not stop giving a hand to our friends. Thank you so much. Let's continue to support that effort. Bishop of the Episcopal Diocese of California, our own friend, the Right Reverend Mark Hanley Andrews. Let's give him a hand.
Breaking the chains of Black San Francisco.
Let us prepare now for prayer.
Breaking the chains of Black San Francisco.
Go ahead, Father Andrews.
Breaking the chains of Black San Francisco.
Well, first I want to say standing next to me is one of the...
Black San Franciscans. Breaking the chains of Black San Franciscans. Breaking the chains of Black San Francisco. We want justice. We want equality. We want equity. 3 reports at 55 years. Black people are doing worse now than they were 55 years ago. Amen. You come to the breakfast, great breakfast, you spend $1,500 per table, the lady council makes money, there's no training program for Black people in San Francisco. When are we going to get justice? Do you stand or you continue to come here year after year after year and don't support our cause? We are saying enough is enough. If you care about Black people, then you would be doing something. You can't continue to use Martin Luther King's name in vain. He was about justice. He was about equality. He was about equity. Young Black men, you can stand with us.
Continue the Board of Supervisors. Payne, Walton, Rowan, Dean Kirsten, all you progressive. And all you do is go after one thing after another without completing anything. We came to you on June 19th of 2018, talking about the disparities of black workers. Malia Cohen is the one who set it in motion. Right. All right, Malia. And the thing is that you guys were supposed to call us back. 200, over 200 black workers stood in that hearing, talked about their suffering, talked about their pain, talked about being released.
So I certainly appreciate your sentiment. This organization, we want to move on now. This organization was founded by Coretta Scott King, and we are here to celebrate the life of Dr. King, and so we are going to need, and we appreciate, let's give him a hand again. Let's give him a hand again. We appreciate the time, but we're going to have to continue with the program. You've had your say, and we certainly appreciate that, but we're going to need to continue with the program that we have because we are here to honor Dr. King, his work by the organization and the labor community that she, Dr. King's wife, founded. So we certainly appreciate, again, your work and your level of commitment here, and we're going to have to move on with the program. And Chief, if you like to move. So thank you so much, and we're going to have to move on. So thank you so much to our team, and to move on with our program. So we thank you so much. We thank you so much for that, and we're going to have to move on with our well, you're going to need to allow us to continue with what we're doing so that we can move ahead. And we certainly appreciate what you're saying, and we certainly appreciate well, I'm not here to make a deal with you. I'm here to support you, but you got to be able to let us move with the program to move forward.
And you are going to continue to have this right. You must meet with the black community. You must say what you're going to do to bring us closer to equality, equity, and justice. And the following year, you get up there like you are now, and you tell us what you did.
We will make that commitment to you right here. My name is Aaron Grizel, and I'm the Executive Director of the Northern California Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Community Foundation, and I make that specific commitment to you. All right, is that a deal? Is that a deal? And
founder of Wealth and Disparities and for the black community, Justice for Mario Woods, I am an SEIU 1021.
yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Member, and I have to be able to talk to you guys.
And we certainly appreciate you, but Ms. Jones, I made a commitment to you personally. And so when we leave out here, we will have a conversation to get more specific about the needs that you're talking about. So I made that personal commitment to you in front of 500 people and the streaming audience that's at those cameras. All right? Let's give her a hand.
Before you leave, I'd like to ask. When do we want justice?
Before Ms. Jones and her supporters, which is all of us, leave, if you support reparations now, please stand.
We got training programs, we need drivers, we need bus drivers.
What about the hanging noose incident? There was a hanging noose incident.
The what?
Hanging noose incident. You know about the hanging noose incident?
I don't have any idea.
At the Ecology Recovery, there was a hanging noose incident put up at the that site, and a Teamster. No, 5 years ago.
Well, what about?
I mean, the guy was fired.
He should have been fired.
He should have been fired. Why?
If he put up a noose, he should have been fired.
He was retaliated because he protested about the noose.
Oh, well, I don't know anything about it.
Contacted you.
He didn't contact me.
He called you.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
He texted you.
You're full of shit.
My name is Shannell Douglas. I'm with the Coalition of Black Trade Unions, and I'm here supporting my sister Felicia Jones and the Justice for Mario Woods group for reparations for San Franciscans. San Francisco is one of the most wealthiest cities in the state and in the California, and we have so much disparity and so many people being pushed out of the city, and African Americans being on the high on that list. I was originally from San Francisco. Once I became adult age and had to purchase property, I was pushed out of San Francisco. So I understand how folks are being displaced, and it's no end. And now you have the cannabis industry coming into San Francisco, and we're being pushed out of that. So,
is there ethnic cleansing going on?
Of course it is, but in San Francisco and throughout California.
And they're honoring Mayor London Breed here and Joseph Bryant of SEIU 1021, both African Americans. Do you think having African American officials has changed what's going on?
No, because the system around them keeps them locked into a position where they can't do a whole heck of a lot for folks in their community as they want to. Right? It's a system.
And there have been retaliation against African American workers, bullying, discrimination in the city and county of San Francisco. Do you think that is continuing?
Of course it is. It's one of the things that we were here. I came and supported my sister last year for discrimination against black workers, and we're still here today for the same thing. But what I expressed was it's not just only San Francisco. It's throughout the state of California. It's not a San Francisco thing. It's a Bay Area thing, right? The same thing that's happening here in San Francisco is happening in Oakland, is happening in Richmond, is happening in Pittsburgh. So all throughout the state, folks are being displaced, and discrimination within our working establishments and our.
You think this has to do with capitalism?
It does have to do with capitalism, but even in a socialistic society, we still would have that same thing, because you have people that manipulate the system and gain power and just subjugate folks on the lower end. So what I know is that you can't have a system where you have the same people in place at all times. So when you look at, you have a Nancy Pelosi, you have Barbara Feinstein.
Pelosi is head of the Democrats. Is she defending the black people in San Francisco?
No one's defending black people in San Francisco.
We have a black mayor?
No one is defending black people in San Francisco, right? So I've been a part of the cannabis equity, trying to see what's going to be established out of that, and out of 300 and some people, you have only 2 dispensaries, all in the Western Addition. You have one popping up and about to pop up in the Bayview, but you don't have anything in the Ingleside community, and that's the community I was in. So when you say displacement, I've been displaced 21 years ago, right? I was born and raised in Ingleside community and pushed out of that community. And you go there now, you hardly see any African Americans. So I lived it. It's not nothing someone told me. I feel it every day, right? This was my city, and it's not anymore.
What's your name?
Shannell Douglas.
And I mean, Last Black Man in San Francisco, does that film talk about?
Yes, absolutely. It hits home because I realize, you know what I'm saying. I've lived what they put on cinema, right? So some folks got to sit down and watch a snippet of my 21 years of being displaced.
And so we would like to say thank you to everyone who came out.